The phenomenon of chaebols dominating the South Korean economy is a fascinating and multifaceted subject, reflecting both the strengths and weaknesses of South Korea's rapid industrialization and economic development. These family-owned conglomerates have been instrumental in transforming South Korea into a global economic powerhouse, but they also pose significant challenges related to economic inequality, political influence, and corporate governance. The story of the chaebols begins in the 1960s under the authoritarian regime of Park Chung-hee. Following the Korean War, South Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world, heavily reliant on foreign aid. Park's government, seeking to rapidly industrialize and modernize the economy, implemented a series of 5-year economic plans. These plans focused on export-oriented industrialization and the development of key industries. The government provided substantial support to select family-owned businesses, which became the chaebols, to drive this transformation. The government provided chaebols with access to low-interest loans, tax incentives, and subsidies. This support was crucial in enabling these conglomerates to invest in large-scale projects and expand rapidly. The government identified strategic industries such as steel, shipbuilding, petrochemicals, and electronics and directed chaebols to invest in these sectors. This strategic focus enabled South Korea to build a diversified industrial base. The chaebols were encouraged to focus on exports, which helped integrate South Korea into the global economy and achieve rapid economic growth. Today, chaebols like Samsung, Hyundai, LG, and SK Group are global giants, dominating not only the South Korean economy but also having a significant presence on the international stage. The dominance of chaebols can be seen in several aspects. Chaebols account for a significant portion of South Korea's GDP, exports, and employment. Samsung alone contributes around 20% of the country's GDP. This concentration of economic power in a few large conglomerates is unparalleled in most developed economies. Chaebols have been at the forefront of technological innovation. Samsung and LG are leaders in electronics and semiconductors, Hyundai and Kia in the automotive industry, and SK Group in energy and telecommunications. Their investments in research and development have driven South Korea's technological advancements. Chaebols have established a strong global presence. They operate extensive networks of subsidiaries, affiliates, and joint ventures worldwide. This global reach has made them significant players in international markets and contributed to South Korea's export-driven economy. While chaebols have been instrumental in South Korea's economic success, their dominance also poses several challenges. The concentration of economic power in a few large conglomerates has contributed to rising income inequality. The wealth and influence of chaebol families contrast sharply with the struggles of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and the broader population. This disparity has led to social discontent and calls for more equitable economic policies. Chaebols are often criticized for their opaque governance structures, where control remains firmly in the hands of founding families despite relatively small ownership stakes. This lack of transparency and accountability can lead to mismanagement, corruption, and inefficiencies. High-profile scandals involving chaebol leaders, such as the impeachment of President Park Geun-hye in 2017 due to her connections with chaebol executives, have highlighted these issues. The close relationship between chaebols and the government has led to concerns about undue political influence. Chaebols have been known to engage in lobbying, political donations, and other forms of influence to secure favorable policies and avoid regulatory scrutiny. This symbiotic relationship can undermine democratic processes and public trust in institutions. The market dominance of chaebols can stifle competition and innovation. SMEs often struggle to compete with chaebols for market share, investment, and talent. This concentration can limit entrepreneurial opportunities and reduce the dynamism of the economy. Chaebols have faced criticism for their labor practices, including long working hours, low wages for certain sectors, and resistance to labor unions. These practices have led to labor disputes and calls for better labor protections and working conditions. Recognizing the challenges posed by chaebol dominance, successive South Korean governments have attempted various reforms to address these issues. Efforts have been made to improve corporate governance by enhancing transparency, accountability, and shareholder rights. Measures include stricter financial disclosure requirements, limits on cross-shareholding, and policies to protect minority shareholders. Governments have introduced anti-corruption measures to reduce the influence of chaebols on politics and curb unethical practices. These measures include stricter regulations on political donations, increased oversight of lobbying activities, and tougher penalties for corruption. Policies have been implemented to support the growth of SMEs and foster a more diverse and competitive business environment. These policies include access to financing, tax incentives, and initiatives to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. Efforts have been made to improve labor conditions, including the introduction of labor-friendly policies, increased protection for contract workers, and support for labor unions. The future of chaebols in South Korea remains a subject of debate. While their economic contributions are undeniable, the challenges they pose require ongoing attention and reform. Balancing the benefits of chaebols with the need for a more equitable, transparent, and competitive economy is crucial for South Korea's long-term sustainability and social cohesion. Chaebols must continue to innovate and adapt to changing global market conditions. Investment in new technologies, sustainable practices, and global expansion will be key to maintaining their competitive edge. Policies that promote inclusive growth and reduce economic inequality will be essential. This includes supporting SMEs, enhancing social safety nets, and ensuring that the benefits of economic growth are more widely shared. Strengthening democratic institutions, corporate governance, and the rule of law will help build a more resilient and fair economy. Transparent and accountable governance is essential for maintaining public trust and fostering sustainable development. Improving labor rights and working conditions will be crucial for social stability and economic productivity. Ensuring fair wages, reasonable working hours, and safe working conditions will benefit both workers and businesses. The dominance of chaebols in the South Korean economy is a double-edged sword. On one hand, these conglomerates have been instrumental in driving rapid industrialization, technological innovation, and global competitiveness. On the other hand, their dominance poses significant challenges related to economic inequality, corporate governance, political influence, and market competition. Addressing these challenges requires a balanced approach that promotes the benefits of chaebols while fostering a more inclusive, transparent, and competitive economy. The ongoing efforts to reform and modernize the chaebol system will be crucial for South Korea's continued economic success and social harmony.